helpful of volunteer and internship experiences, and so I'm really excited for this.
Excellent, great. Thank you so much, and thank you, Caitlin, for bringing us all together, for making this happen. Cool. So let's get started. So the first meeting, we can start recording. Oh yes, thank you. Got it. Okay. Is it okay with everyone if we record? We kind of request. Is that all right? Thumbs up or yes in the chat. If that's okay with everybody. Okay. Great. We're going to go ahead and do that for folks who hadn't missed it today. Okay. Great. All right. So we're recording now. So thanks everyone for being here. The first thing that we're going to do is create an online mapping account using the ArcGIS online software, the free version. And I had sent instructions for this over to Caitlin, and I think she was going to forward them out to everyone. Did you all get that? If you didn't, I can email it to you now. Does anyone need instructions? All right, cool. Then we're good to go. So the first thing that we're going to do here, oh, thank you, Christy. I should probably also attach it there too. The first thing we're going to do is to create this free account. So we're going to go to arcgis.com, and I also want to emphasize that you should interrupt me at any point if you have a question, please. And if I don't see it in the chat on the screen, then please just feel free to unmute yourself and call out. So please let me know at any point if you have a question. So in this first section here, create a free ArcGIS online. I'm going to go to arcgis.com, and I'm going to share my screen here so you can kind of see what I'm doing and kind of follow along. So ArcGIS Online, this is where arcgis.com will take you. And you'll see that you need to, I'm actually already logged in, but what you're going to want to do here is to click in and then create an account, then create an ArcGIS public account and follow those steps. So this is just going to take a bit of a minute. I unfortunately can't walk you through the steps because I already have an account, so I can't create a new one. It's going to ask you a few things to create that account. It will then send you an email. And you'll try it, set it up through that once you get that email. And once you have got your account set up, you can go back to arcgis.com and log in. So let me know in the chat or give me a thumbs up or something once you have created that account and you're good to go. You're ready to move on to the next step here. And let me know if you have any troubles with any of those steps. Okay. All right. Okay, great. So once you're ready to go, I'm going to hold off a little bit because I want to make sure everyone's got their account set up. But if you, but while you're waiting to move on to the next step, if you just want to open a new web browser, so keep your ArcGIS Online tab opened and then just open up a new browser. And what you're going to do is type in there opendata.dc.gov. So this is the second step here in the instructions. It's just to express open data portal. So again, we want to have these two tabs open. So go ahead and type in that opendata.dc.gov. And this is the city's repository of the data that it makes publicly available. sorry, Caitlin, this happens to me all the time. I have two separate accounts, and I'm always like, which one am I using? It's confusing. And so this is, and again, if you want to rush ahead with the instructions, or you want to like take your time and operate a lot slower than everyone, that's the way to hope that we can kind of move at different paces. So don't worry if you get off track here, but I'll just kind of try to walk us through for the most part together at this point. So in Open Data DC, you can either search for a specific database. So if you knew exactly the name of what you were looking for, you could type for it and look for it. You can also browse data by theme. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff that they've got in here. And if you browse all the way down to the bottom, browse data by theme, you can see, and are you all seeing, I'm just check, are you all seeing what I'm sharing here? You're seeing, okay, good. So for instance, if you knew that you were interested in property and land, you could click on that link and you would see data related to property and land. And in fact, if we did that, we could see what the city's got in terms of their property data sets. It says 1 to 10 of 157 results, so that's a fair amount of data. And there's all sorts of different kinds of things in there. But what I want to do just to kind of take us through the exercise is to start by mapping homeless shelters in DC. And I've done this before with folks and have been told that this data is not completely accurate. And that is a big issue, actually, is how accurate the city's data is, because our maps are only going to be as accurate as the city's data is. Now, we can also map our own data that we've generated or data from other sources, but if we're using the city's data, then it's important to be clear in your map that you're using the city's data. So if it's wrong, it's unfortunately that's the fault of the city. But so if I go back to the front page here, opendata.dc.gov, and do a search in the data set, if I do a search for homeless, you'll see what pops up. You actually see a few different things pop up: homeless shelter locations, homeless service facilities, which is actually much more than just shelters, and then homeless facility shuttle stops for the shuttles that take people to different places. So if we go to that homeless shelter locations set, and this is basically the sort of format that the data looks like here. You'll see that it's sort of automatic tiers. You get a sense of where they are. For the data, you're always going to see this overview tab, and the overview tab tells just gives you a general sense of what this data set is. It's always very useful to click on this data tab here that's next to overview, because that shows you the actual table that this data set is based on. And so what you see here is it says showing 1 to 10 of 18. So that means there's 18 records in this table, or 18 locations, 18 homeless shelter locations that are in this table. And so what you see here in this table is obviously the name of these places, the provider that's running the place, the actual street address. It can be a little hard sometimes to, you should be able to scroll to the right to see a few more columns. That's not working for me right now. And if you clicked on the number 2, it'll take you to the next page. There's 18 records total, like I said. There is more information here. I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Okay, sometimes the scroll doesn't work. But so for each homeless shelter, you've got all this information associated with it. The latitude and longitude is the geographic information that tells us exactly where that point is, what ward it's in, the type of shelter that it is, and within that, the subtype, the status, whether it's active or closed. I think all these in the list are active. The number of beds, that's obviously a really important detail there. One shelter might have 12 beds, another might have 360. That's obviously they're serving like a different scale. Is there an on-site medical clinic? That is also something that might be really important and interesting to know if you were mapping homeless shelters. So you see either yes or no. You also see some that have no data. That is a problem on the part of whoever has this data set together. It's not complete. So there's either a medical clinic or there's not. It should say yes or no. So we don't know why that gap is there. DGS and DHS confirmed I don't really know actually what all these column headings mean. And so, unfortunately, in the open data site, sometimes there's questions about what the definitions are. Like, what does that column mean? I assume it means the Department of DHS. I don't actually know. I don't want to make any assumptions. And so sometimes it's not clear what these column headings actually refer to. So that can be a challenge sometimes. Already public information, not sure. Last updated, so something was last updated in 2017, a long time ago. So I don't know what was last updated, something about this data. Information about how to access the solar shelter, and why it's limited, the location, definitely LGBTQ focus to it. This one does. So anyhow, looking at this data, and always looking at this data tab gives you a sense of what data is needed with this data set. Because you're not, as you'll find, you're not just going to map the points of these shelters and where they are. You'll also be able to symbolize the points, so make them different colors or different shapes or sizes to reflect some of this data that's included in this data set. Okay, so in order to map the homeless shelters, we're going to go back to our overview. And under About, you see a little bit of information here on the right-hand side under About. So where it says Data Source, go ahead and click the link next to Data Source, where it says maps2.dcgis.dc.gov. And this link, this just sort of ugly-looking thing, is what you actually need to connect to in order to map this data for your own map. Okay, so what do I mean by that? First, you're going to click up here and highlight this URL at the top of this layer of homeless shelter locations. So highlight that and then copy it. And once you've copied it, you're going to go back to your you're going to go back to your ArcGIS page, your account, and you're going to click Map. And you've got this map of, the default is this map of the United States. You're going to ignore all the stuff on the left here that says choose an area, all that stuff. We're just going to go straight to adding data. So you're going to click this Add Data button, which is, or it just says Add in the left-hand column here. And as you notice, you get a drop-down menu here. What we're going to do here is add layer from web, because what we're doing is we're essentially linking our map to this data that's already available online. So you're going to click Add Layer from Web. What type of data are you referencing in the ArcGIS Server Web Service? You leave that as it is. That is the type of data we're referencing in. And then you just click next to URL and paste the URL that you copied from the open data site. And then you click Add Layer. And then what you will see happen is, first of all, the map zoomed to DC automatically because it recognized that all the data was inside DC. And it plotted all of these points. And it automatically turns the points into these little like house icons, which in some ways is kind of cute, but we're actually going to change that because we can make these icons more, we can make them more meaningful if we change them. But you've now got your homeless shelters mapped, so that's cool. So that is how you add data to your map from the Open Data DC site. You simply find it that you want, and you click on that, you just click on that data source link for the data set that you want, and then you would add that link to your map as we go along. So is everyone, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Any
question?
Yeah.
The DCGI, so maybe this is really obvious, but just in terms of knowing that it's an ArcGIS web service, that's the type. I mean, I see like the data source here, it says maps to .dcgis. I guess will data usually say GIS in it somewhere if it's that kind, or?
That's a good question. I think if you're, not necessarily. Yeah, not necessarily. You would typically see, let's see, there's a bunch of different ways that you could get, that you would find data online, I guess, that you could link to. Let's hold off on that for a bit, because no, that's a good question. At the end of this, did I include these? I think in the instructions at the end, I included some other places where we could potentially get data from. But I think more and more, yes, there is more of a consistency in terms of how this data is. Open data tends to be made publicly available, and it is usually, I mean, ArcGIS, I should also say, is it's a company that has a real, not total monopoly, but total monopoly on a lot of GIS work. And so most cities and states and places that are providing data are doing so through ArcGIS, and if they're doing it online, then they are usually using an ArcGIS server like this, yeah. So you can link pretty easily from most of those data sources.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more clear than that, but that's a
complicated question.
Okay, cool. So let's if we go to the next page of I think it's your next page. Anyway, letter D here. Changing the symbology of your data to make the map more meaningful is how I put it. In the contents, let me see, I just want to make sure. That's right, so we're on the next page here. So in the contents column on the left, under the name of your data set. So notice how you got this data set here. If you hover your mouse over it, if you click these change style button, it's this button in the middle that's got the little shaped colors. What you can do is you can change how your icons look. And so where it says, notice how right now it says choose an attribute to show, it says show location only. That's because when you look at this map, all you're seeing is the location of where these homeless shelters are. So that's interesting. I mean, what are some things we notice about this location in terms of where they are and where they are not in the city, for instance?
Most of it is in Northwest.
None in Upper Northwest. So that's interesting to see. Like right away, we can see some interesting patterns when we are just looking, even just the location of where these things are. But we can also do a lot more in terms of the attributes that we're looking at. So where it says choose an attribute to show, instead of show location only, change this, just try this, change it to number of beds and see what happens. So if you change it to number of beds, what you notice is that there are some shelters that are serving a whole lot more people than others. And you can see where those are. So now, in addition to seeing location, we're also seeing by the number of beds. And so this could be potentially very, very useful for you in terms of doing, anyone who's sort of interested in analyzing the situation with homeless shelters in the city. This is quantitative data, it's numbers, right, number of beds, and the software recognizes that it's numerically based data, and so it is symbolizing using a symbol that's either larger for a higher number or smaller for a smaller number. We can also add, notice how under choose an attribute to show, we can add an attribute. Now this second attribute has to be qualitative data. We can't show two quantitative data sets at once with one symbol, but we can make a symbol a different size depending on the quantity of, in this case, beds, and we can make it a different color depending on something else about that we're interested in knowing about this homeless shelter. So in this case, what we're going to choose is whether or not, yes or no, this homeless shelter has an on-site medical clinic. So if we add attribute, now the attribute we can add is on-site medical clinic. So we can kind of put these two together. And so again, what the software does, it recognizes that on-site medical clinic is a yes/no other question. And so it just assigns these different colors, red for yes, blue for no, gray for other. And so we can see that, okay, some of the largest homeless shelters in the city do have an on-site medical clinic. We can see which ones do not. And then we can see which ones we don't know because the data is accessed from the data set. And so it's listed as other.
Is it possible to do a more narrow search? So, for example, I see all sites that exceed 500 beds and just show only those. Is that possible?
Absolutely, yes. Let's talk about that. So first, let's save what we've done so far, and then yes, we will do exactly what Jennifer's talking about. So to save, you just go up here and click the save button. Save as, give it a name. I call mine Homeless Shelters DC5. I've made this one a few times. The ArcGIS software requires you to type in a tag here, or you can't save it unless you enter a tag. So a tag could be homelessness, could be any number of things. First, at public, you would want to have a description of it. Here, you would want to let the viewing public know where your data came from, and maybe know how to get in touch with you, something like that. So I'm not going to do that now, but you could add that in here. And I'm just going to click Save Map. And then I'll show you before the end of the session how you can go back to, if you close your map, how you can go find it, how you can view it from your account. But we have a few more things here on making it more legible, etc. But what I wanted to actually is go to Jennifer's question because I think it's a really good question and it's interesting. So the question was, could we, essentially, it sounds like what we're asking is, can you filter out for just homeless shelters that are more than, say, 500 beds? Was that? Okay, let's try that. Okay, so here's how you do this. So first I'm going to click Done. And I should have done that before I saved, actually. But I'm just going to say Done. Okay, so I've got my data here. Now, what I can now do is choose to filter it. And so this little button that's like a yellow with a funnel looking thing on it is a filter. This is a really cool tool here. So I click filter, and then I want to say, so we're interested in is the number of beds at least 500. So next to address, I'm going to choose from this drop down, again, these are all the attributes that were listed in that table that we first looked at in the Open Data DC site. So number of beds, and then I can choose from the middle column is at least, or is less than, or is greater than. So I'll say it's at least, and then 500 is a numeric value, so I'll keep value checked here. I'll type in 500, and then I can either just apply the filter, or if you had a huge data set, you would do apply filter and zoom to, so it's zoomed to where on the map were the shelters that were over 500, at least 500. So I'll just click apply filter, and then here's what I see. Okay, that's interesting. It looks like there's just that one that is at least 500. And this actually raises an interesting point, which is that the symbology was showing us these gradation of symbols, but it looks like maybe there's one really big one. I don't know the homeless shelters well enough to know, what's going on the ground. But this seems to indicate that this is the only one that's at least 500. If you click on it, you can find out more about the data. And this is, so this is CCNV. That's not a surprise. And this tells you, again, all the attributes that we looked at in that table are available in this pop-up window. And I'll show you how to edit this pop-up window in a minute. But this tells us 64 beds here. So we could try, I'm going to try actually going back to filter, edit the filter, and I'm going to say, okay, how about it's at least 200? Let's see what that looks like. Okay, then we got a few. Now it looks like we have 4 shelters that are at least 200.
Is the change style specification still on in terms of on-site medical and the other thing? Is that why it's showing so few?
That shouldn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Changes aren't that big. Okay.
I mean, it's interesting to me to see this. Yes, these are the only ones that are at least, so this one is 450.
One of my questions is, if we do we need to clear the other attributes of the other little buttons on the bottom before we go on to another kind of filtering mechanism, or are they going to be fine when you do the searches?
It could, do you mean, so do you need to like remove the fact that you've symbolized it based on number of beds?
Yeah.
You wouldn't need to, no. Yeah, you might want to just to kind of keep it more clear for yourself, depending, but you don't need to. Yeah, you could keep it like this. And for instance, we could also add a second filter. Like right now we're showing the shelters are at least 200 beds. We could, I could add another expression that's called here, and I could say, okay, I actually only want to map the shelters that are at least 200 beds, and let's say, what else? And they're LGBTQ focused. Well, I doubt I don't know if we'll see anything. But let's see. Are there any shelters that are LGBTQ focused, and at least 200 beds? I don't know, but we can find out. So for this LGBT focused, we need to, sometimes you have to play around with which of these buttons you press here. But I think the correct one is unique, so you can see, we're just gonna see, if it is yes, let's see what happens. But yeah, there's none. So nothing ends up on our map because I think there's only one shelter classified in this list as LGBTQ focused, and clearly it's below 200 beds. So I can go in and remove that filter. X this one out. And I can decide also, ultimately, I could say, okay, I'm just going to remove this filter completely, and now I'm back to where I was originally. With all of the homeless shelters mapped. But a lot of filtering, so I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. Any questions about that or anything else that's come up in the last few minutes? Okay, let's move to the next step. So this is just to make your map more legible. In terms of thinking about ultimately creating a public map. So of course, maps can be used to analyze data and used for all sorts of internal purposes that you might not even ever really need to share them publicly. But often it's really good, they're good as communicative devices to share something. So if you wanted to share it publicly, you want to kind of clean up how it looks a little bit. So one thing that we can do here, and this is the section E, making your map more legible. The first thing you can do is rename these are called these layers, the data that's in this column on the left. So we only have one data layer right now. It says public service web repair homeless shelter locations. That is like a whole mouthful of gobbledygook that a normal person looking at is gonna be like, what does that even mean? So we can just rename this, click these three little dots, rename, and I'm gonna put homeless shelters. I think the word location is kind of redundant. This is a map, they're obviously located somewhere. And so then you have a kind of cleaner looking name there, which is useful. And then the other thing I mentioned, editing these pop-up windows. So these pop-up windows are awesome and super useful for someone looking at the map from the outside who wants to learn a little bit more about this data. And so if we click on any one of them, we see all this information. But it's a little bit like overwhelming right now, to have all this information pop up. And some of this information is really like not necessary. Like the latitude and the longitude probably isn't that important to someone who's concerned about homeless questions. And so what you can do is you can dramatically, or less dramatically, but I like to have kind of smaller, more concise pop-up windows usually. You can really edit this down. So the way to do that is to go back to your data layer here, click more options, and then configure pop-up is what you would click. And you can essentially go click configure attributes. So these are all the attributes, the data associated with these homeless shelters. This is going to pop up, and you can choose to uncheck any of these that you want to remove. Now they'll still be here in the data set, but you're just going to remove them from view for the viewer. What I usually do is click to turn everything on next to the figure and then uncheck the whole thing, so I don't have to uncheck everyone one by one. And then I'll just add in a few, honestly. Like I might say facility name. So you can go through and choose whatever you would want to add, whatever information you want to include in that pop-up window by checking it here. You can also edit the field alias. So this is the name that appears in the pop-up. Facility name, having this underscore, is this real like coding thing that I think is kind of a turn off. It looks kind of junky. All caps is definitely a turn off. So I might just say name. I'm just going to change that to name. Maybe I'll keep the address, the street address. But I actually don't feel the need to include the in-state because all of these are in DC, so that's a little bit redundant. I might include the number of beds. Oops. Notice how if you click on something numerical, like number of beds, you have the option of having decimal places. So I'm going to have 0 decimal places because you can't have a fraction of a bed. And so it'll look nicer if there's no decimal places there. And again, I'm just going to change this to the number sign of beds. And maybe I'll include this question, on-site medical clinic, and I'll make that a question. And then maybe I'll add an ages served as well. And that's all I'm going to choose, but you can, of course, choose whatever you want. I click OK. Then I need to click OK again over here in the left blue button. Once I've done that, if I go back and click on any one of these, I should see my much simplified pop-up window showing up here. And the other thing, and this actually is not in the instructions, I should have included it in the instructions, but when you're editing your pop-up windows, the other thing you can do is you can change the title of the pop-up as it shows up. So right now, notice this is actually redundant. It says homeless shelter locations, Harriet Tubman Shelter and Day Center, and then it says name, Harriet Tubman Shelter and Day Center. Well, you don't really need both of those things there. So what I can do is I'm going to go back and change that. I'll go back to configure pop-up. And where it says pop-up title, whatever the facility name is of that particular shelter, that name is going to pop up as the title of the pop-up window. I'm just going to delete this phrase homeless shelter locations. So I have a nice simple, just the name of the shelter is going to pop up. And then I'm going to go back to my configure attributes, and actually I'm going to remove the name from there. Maybe I'll add in the provider. That's maybe some useful information. Okay, again, and now if I go back to that shelter, what I see is Harriet Tubman Shelter Day Center, the provider, the address, number of beds, on-site medical clinic. Notice there's a blank there because that's probably a blank spot in the data, so we don't know if there's one or not. They just serve. All right, I just went through all that kind of fast. Any questions about how you configure pop-ups? All right, make sure you save your map. I have not saved many times and been very sad. Things crashed. So those are some ways to make the map more legible to the outside viewer. It's kind of changing the name here and configuring your pop-ups in a way that they are kind of more legible, easier to read. So but the next thing let's do here, which is just, this is really kind of the neat, I think, of GIS analysis, is adding another data set to your map. So what are you looking at in spatial relationship to these homeless shelters? You know, and this could be any number of things, but we could be thinking about transportation access to shelters. We could be thinking about where are public to the city. You know, if there is no on-site medical clinic at a number of these places, as is clear from the map. We could be looking at, you know, locations of public schools. Maybe there's some questions around just between, you know, where some of these family shelters in particular are, how close are they to public schools. So there's all sorts of questions that we could ask and really kind of try to address through mapping this data. So next step, go back to that tab that should still be open somewhere, and just do a search for some other data you'd be interested in adding to your map. You can either click in the search bar here, you can go back to the main front page and browse by theme again if you want to kind of get some ideas about what you might want to add. I added metro stations, but that's just sort of, I mean, you could, there's any number, I said the instructions, metro stations, but you could really add anything. And just take a few minutes to do that, and you can work to change the symbology using the steps in D and E, if you'd like, or you could use the default symbols, symbology that the software creates. But let's take a few minutes to do that, and then we'll go through how you can share your map with the world publicly if you wanted to do so. And let me know if you have any questions as you go. Very happy to answer anything as it comes up.
I have a quick question that isn't related to adding a layer, but it's about getting your own data.
Yeah.
If you wanted to import your own data, do you need to add like latitude and longitude, or like some form of shape files if you wanted to do something by neighborhood? Or is there like an easy way to do that on ArcGIS?
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about it is you do not need latitude and longitude. What you would need is a street address. So as long as you've got, so basically you could create a, did I explain how to do this in here? Okay, yeah, there's in step 5, I guess it is, there's instructions on how to map a data set that you've created. But the important thing is that your data set should be a spreadsheet that's saved as a CSV file. And if it's got an address column, then it should map correctly. Of course, you've got to make sure all the quadrants are correct and that kind of thing. But yeah, it'll map correctly. Now, the question of, so you're saying you might want to just show the data that was like within a certain neighborhood. Is that?
Yeah, or like do kind of like by neighborhood like shapes. So like if I had like a data set with like the homeless shelters and I wanted to show how many beds in each neighborhood, like doing that file on top, is there?
Yes, there's definitely a way to do that. One issue is that the city planning set shape files, and you can find them on open data of the what they call them, the neighborhood planning clusters, I think. The city refuses point blank to do shape files of the actual neighborhoods because there's too many political conflicts over where neighborhood boundaries are. So the city won't do that. It's pretty great. It's pretty funny. I understand. But they do have these official neighborhood planning clusters. Those you can get. And so those, each one is made up of like, a few neighborhoods, I guess. So if you have those neighborhood planning clusters, one thing, and you added that shape file to your map. One thing that you could do is you could do a filter, for instance, that so you just looked at the data that was within. Is that right? You know what? I would need to double check if we can do this using the free version. Actually, the paid for version, you can definitely do what you're talking about. It's essentially you're looking at how these things intersect, like how many homeless shelters. Or how many, and even the bed count are within this other shape file.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So the pro version, as they call it, which again is pretty inexpensive, and I'm sure you have access to it through Georgetown. I don't know, I shouldn't say, but it was just because it is so. Someone at Georgetown has to have access to this.
Georgetown allows you to download a free version of it.
Oh, cool.
Okay, good. And so it looks exactly, the pro version looks the same as this version that we're using here, although I think they did just release a beta version like very, very recently, but it basically looks the same as what we're working with here, except there's this extra exciting little button at the top. Where's my map? Right. In the toolbar at the top was an extra button that says spatial, and I think it says spatial analysis or something. And that allows you to do all sorts of spatial analysis like you're talking about. So spatial intersections of data. And so we could see if there could be a way, I mean, if you added the neighborhood cluster shape file to your online map, right? there might be a way to do something with a filter button. But I think to get at what you want to do, you probably need that spatial analysis feature.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering because I think this is the reason that they made me do all of this like back end stuff at my old job because they wouldn't buy the pro version of ArcGIS. But yeah, that would make things like way easier if they just have like an automatic thing. Yeah.
I mean, I know at UDC we pay $500 a year for a license that can have 50 users at a time. That seems pretty cheap to me. It's like $10 a year per user, so I think it's pretty affordable. So yeah. Cool. But yes, that should get you that. So shall we, why don't we go ahead, I'll just go ahead and kind of show you how to share the map with the world. And then close and reopen your map. You guys work on it later. So step G, you always want to just save the latest version of your map before you're ready to share it. And then you intuitively will click the share button here. And then if you're going to share from the free version, again, you would be just default sharing with everyone, with the world. If you're part of the pro account, I guess the other term for it is an organization account. So Georgetown as an organization has an account. If you're in an organization, then you could share it at different levels. Like you could share it with just your class or your group. But here with the free version, the only option is to share with everyone. So once I click this link, I click this box, and then this is the link to the map that anyone should be able to open from anywhere. So obviously you could post it to Facebook or Twitter, or you could just email someone the link. You could embed it in a site. You could create a web app, which is actually quite simple to do. And the beauty of creating a web app of your map is then your map it's a lot to look at on a phone, basically. And it just looks a lot kind of, it's a little more, it pops a little bit more than this map that we've just been working on here. So to create a web app, if you wanted to try that, you could just go ahead and click here. And then there's a ton of different ways to do this. And you could really just kind of play around with all these different types of apps. I am a fan of the basic viewer. I think depending on what you want to do, simple is often best. And you create a web app, and I give it the same name. I click done. But again, this is something you can play with more on your own. But just to know that the web app option is out there, and it does enable you to create a map that is a little bit more phone friendly, basically, or tablet friendly. Yeah.
See the article that just came out with the gentrification tracking using ArcGIS?
Yes. Well, I don't know. Is this the one that was using the they were using Google Maps to analyze like condition of buildings and stuff like that?
So it's actually more than that. I think they worked with Sarah Schoenfeld and
Yes. I'm familiar with the project. Yeah.
So I'm gonna put that in the chat because I think they used a story feature, and I think that they used like build a story and then you just go through and you can read about the history and stuff. It's definitely
What's that?
complex, but I actually don't think it is. I think it just looks very fancy. Which is very cool.
Nah, it's dry down here.
And that's the thing. So this
Yeah, I'm in a Zoom joint right now. I'm in the meeting.
I'm gonna launch it just for the heck of it. This is a very simple version of what you could do with a web app. And this is kind of how it would look to a user who had clicked on the link that I had provided. And I can do a lot more here to kind of play with it. But you can also create a story map like Caitlin was talking about. And this is something that I've done with my classes at UDC. I guess I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. Oh well. Anyway, I teach at UDC, and one of the classes I teach every semester is a sort of intro GIS class in the city, and we work with this data and with our online. But yeah, we always create story maps in our final projects, and they do enable you to go through a series of maps, and you can incorporate photographs and video and other information and links and things. So it's a great way to kind of take people through a whole story. Yeah, instead of just having what I've got on the screen now is just one map. a story map, and you can look at this, which is really cool.
I have a question about this too, looking into a website. Both of the website options, the original ones that we were looking at, those are still links. So if you're on a different web page, and then it would bring you to a different page, or do those allow you to see it right on that page itself?
I'm trying to go back so I can see what I'm doing here. Oh shoot. Sorry. I want to see. I want to go back to now. Go back. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, Caitlin. Trying to get back to where we were so I can make sure I'm. Okay. All right. So if I went to share. So here, is this where you're talking about? So embedded website, is that where you were?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I guess, so I know what the story ones look like in some of the other ones where it's actually using a map, but for these ones, if we did just want to have a simple map that you could scroll over and see the different things on like a website instead of having to click on a different link, right? That's possible on the system.
Yes, and I think, I haven't done a whole lot of that, but I think, yeah, if you click the embedded website button, I think it's pretty, I haven't done a whole lot of website building or whatever, but I think that it should be pretty easy to just copy and paste this HTML and that would bring it up in your website, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like, I need a little bit, but I think that should work, so. Okay, great. And so there are these different ways to share, right? You can just share the map itself through a link. You can create a web app. You can create a story map, which is more involved. You can embed it in your organization's website. Lots of ways to do that. Let's go ahead and close this. I just want to make sure everyone sees how you can find what you've done. So if you were to go ahead and just close all of your, if you have more than one ArcGIS tab open, just close all of them, and then let's go back to arcgis.com. You may or may not have to log in again. It might remember you. Yeah, I'm already logged in here. So the way that I would find what I just worked on, content. And content is going to show me everything that I've ever created in this, using this account. And so here's a bunch of stuff. Here's my web map that I was working on. Here's the web mapping application that I kind of built with just recently. So if I wanted to go back to my map, I would click here. One thing to note also is that if you create a story map or a web map application based on your original map that you've made, if you make changes to the original map, it will be reflected in the story map or in the application. So that's good to know. You would need to refresh it, but it's automatically, they're connected in that way. And relatedly, very interestingly, if you are connected, linked to the city's data or to any other online data source, if that data source changes, is updated, let's say, those updates will reflect on your map. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting.
Is it possible to freeze a map so that doesn't happen? Like, say you wanted to compare the data.
Yeah. Okay, good. Actually, that's a great question. So let's go back. So we know how to close and reopen our. So just to finish up with this, if I wanted to reopen the map I was originally working on, I would click that link, and then I would need to click one more time, either here, open in map viewer, or over here, open in map viewer. Doesn't matter. And that would take me back to my map that I worked on and saved and closed. So that's how you would get back to it. But to Caitlin's question, this is an excellent question. And the next section, the instructions, is how to map a data set that you've created. But I want that because I think what you're asking is really important. So if we go back to our open data site, yeah, let's say if you wanted to track something over time, we could say, okay, we know know that the city has homeless shelters now, but what will it look like in a year? You always have the option here to, instead of linking to the live data source, where it says data source, you can download the shapefile directly from here. You can download it to your computer. So if I download the shapefile, it will be a zip file. A shapefile is always a zipped file because a shapefile is actually made of several files kind of put together. And so I can see it's a zip file here. Homeless shelters. I'm going to, and then I would want to, let me see, I'm going to try to save it to my, I'm going to sort of, yeah, the zip file here. I'm just going to real quick save it to my GIS data folder in my computer so I know where it is. And then I'm gonna, okay, so now I've saved that zip file of that shape file. So now I'm gonna go back to my map. And I'm actually gonna turn off this homeless shelters layer. You can turn layers on and off. The data is still there, but you just won't see it if you uncheck it. So I'm gonna do that. Now I'm gonna add a new data set. And so instead of adding a layer from web, this time I'm gonna add a layer from file because this is data that I've downloaded. So it's static now. It's on my computer. It's not going to change. So add layer from file. Notice that it says, you locate the file you want to import. If it's a file, it has to be a zip folder. If it's a spreadsheet, it has to be CSV or text. So we've got a shape file. I'm going to go choose that file. I'm going to go find it in my DCGIS data. I thought I just saved it here. There it is. Homeless shelters. Okay.
That's big die.
Homeless shelter locations.
Big die.
I'm going to keep generalized features for web display. That's fine. Import layer. And there it is. And now what's sort of interesting is, for some reason, it chooses this attribute to show status. I have no idea why. It doesn't create those little house symbols if you're not linking. Something that the DC Open Data people put in there. I'm not sure why. But if I choose show location only, it's going to be these gray dots. But now, yeah, this is a static file that's coming straight from my computer. And so that's cool because, and in fact, there's lots of GIS data out there that you can't link directly, but you have to download it this way. And so it's good to know that this is a very easy option. If you can download a shape file as long as you've got a zip shape file that's not corrupt, that's in good shape, you'll be able to upload it easily. One other important thing to know, okay, sorry, I'm talking too much. All right, any questions? These are great questions, totally great.
Is the shapefile information identical to the web?
Yes, excellent question. It is. It's the exact same thing. It's just now in a static form.
So I'm getting two different results, and maybe just I don't know how to show this to you, but for example, if I have floodplains from the web URL, you see this, right? But then if I use the shapefile, I see this.
Wait, let me stop sharing so I can see. Okay, wait, go show me again. Okay.
The shapefile version.
Okay.
And then this is the web URL version of the same floodplain map.
And so the shapefile version being the one that you downloaded.
Yeah.
Show it to me again. I wonder if it's just a difference in like the coloration or the symbology, or is it something more based on data?
And then the other one is just, I mean, I can investigate this a little bit further.
Yeah.
But it should be identical, you're saying.
Okay. What might be going on there is, what it looks like is that in one of them, DC is a color, and the water bodies are a different color. And in one of them, it's just the water bodies that are shown. It's possible that it's just like a coloring difference as opposed to a difference in the actual data underlying it. I would suspect that would be it. Just the actual data underlying it should be exactly the same. Yeah. but that's definitely worth checking into. Yeah. Okay, so if you wanted to add a data set that you yourself had created, and we were talking about this a little bit before, all you would need to do is create a spreadsheet, or the best way to do it, I guess, to say, is to create a spreadsheet that's got a column called address, and it's got the street address, and then, best practice, you'd have a column address, city, and state. So if it was DC data, you'd have your street address, whatever it was, and then a column for city, which would always be Washington, and a column for state, which would always be DC. And then, so you could add whatever you wanted. The important thing to note here is that if you wanted to upload this spreadsheet to be mapped, with the free version, you can only upload a spreadsheet with a maximum of 250 records. So you can't upload like large data sets with the free version. With the pro version, it's no problem. But again, with the free version, there's a limit. Your spreadsheet can't have more than 250 lines, records. That is kind of a cool thing to try to do. And if you want to take some time now, you could create your own spreadsheet just to kind of try this out. I'm going to actually try, just to show you how this works. I've got some spreadsheets that I'll try to upload here. Let me find one that works. And okay, I was actually, and this I think might be of interest to you all in terms of the vacant virus to virus-free work. I was actually looking, there is data available on Open Data DC about vacant properties and properties that are classified as vacant. And so I was sort of trying to play with that to find something that could be useful for you all. And I found a data set that's really, it's more than 250 records, so it's too big to map, but I'm using this version, but I'm gonna create a smaller version of it just so we can see how this works to upload your own data set. So let me just make this real quick. And so this is just a version of the, it's just a sort of a sum of the vacant data, very small amount of vacant property data that the city makes available. This site. And so what I'm going to try to do here, and hopefully this will work, I'm going to go to my map. And yeah.
Sharing your screen again.
Oh. Sorry. Great. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my map. Hopefully this works. So I'm going to try to add this CSV file that, again, is just a portion of vacant data. So add layer from file. I'm going to go in to vacant property data test. And I could also drag and drop it here. Import layer. Okay, so this says locate features by what? And these notes are in the instructions, so you'll need to refer to those. Coordinates, I don't have coordinates, but what I do have here is an address. And so I'll say, you're going to locate, the software is going to locate the features by the street address in the United States. And what I'm going to go down to is, we see the field name on the left, and that's just the title of the columns in this spreadsheet. And then location fields, are we using this column to locate the data? So we are using this property address column. So change this from not used to, I think to address or place should work fine. Now this data set doesn't have a city and state in it. It only has a street address within DC. So I'm not sure it's going to work. Let me double check that. Yeah, I don't think it does. So let's see if it works to add layer just based on using that property address. Okay, this is good to see. So warning, not all features were added to the map. 9 addresses in the file couldn't be located. And yet this really didn't work. Look at that. They mapped it all over the United States. Okay, terrible choice. There was no state in the file. It only had street addresses. That's interesting. Okay. But this is how you would add a CSV file that you generated yourself. You would want to make sure that you had 3 separate columns for address, city, and state. And then when you went to go do that, when you went to go add the file, you would want to make sure to add by location, by address, and then you would go in and make sure that you had selected that you were using the address, city, and state columns to add that, and then it plopped properly. Sorry, that one really didn't work. I will remove. You can always remove a layer by clicking these 3 little dots and clicking remove. Are you sure you want to remove? Yes, I do. And now if I click homeless shelters again, it looks kind of funky. I could always also type in Washington, D.C. here if I want to zoom quickly to Washington. That's one thing that I could do. All right, so, but if you did want to add a CSV file, those instructions are written here under I. And then the other thing that I want to go over, and gosh, I'm sorry, I want to make sure we have enough time for folks just to work on your own. But just one more thing to show you, let's take some time for everybody just to work on your own, is there are people all over the world who are using ArcGIS to create their own data layers. And so you can add data layers other people created. And again, you would go to the add button and you could search for layers, or you could browse living atlas layers. These are both kind of similar, but if I went to search for layers, right now I'm looking in my content. Well, I don't have any actual layers in my content, but if I change my content, that drop-down menu to ArcGIS Online, then there are over 10,000 layers created by users using this software all around the world. And so then I can do a search for, there's so much out there. I could say, what is there for housing? I don't know. Let's see. Well, there's over 10,000 layers related to housing. So that's a lot. But you could search more specifically, obviously, for things. You would want to be really careful in this case, just who is generating the data. It's the name of the company that creates the ArcGIS software. So any data that they put out is going to be totally vetted. So it's probably pretty safe to rely on that data. But you could be mapping data that a middle schooler made somewhere. Maybe it's great data, but maybe it's not. So public housing authorities, you could map the location of all the public housing authorities in the country. The federal user community, that refers to the ArcGIS user community, and so I just have it as a reliable source as well. So there's lots of stuff to look at here. There's also, if you look at the living atlas layers, these are similarly layers that are, these are usually just created by, well, I guess not. I was going to say, usually I think these are just created by Esri or Esri vetted sources. There's a lot of census data available here, which is cool. So if I did a search on like income, for instance, I could find median income, for instance, and you can find median income in the DC set too, but sometimes it's easier actually just to add it from here. So I could try doing that if I click here. I haven't actually tested this set before. Yeah, so now I've got, if I go back, this back arrow, this will show me my interesting is that as I zoom in, the data becomes more fine-grained, kind of. So I'll start to see it by census tract, and it should go down even to census block groups, which is a smaller or a more fine-grained geographic difference. Well, I'm not actually seeing that. Anyhow, depending on how far in or out you're zoomed, you should see the data either more or less sort of fine-grained, the way it shows. But you can see, if we look at, if we click on legend over here, we can see that green is, wealthier, and dark blue is lower income. Gray is kind of more in the middle. Again, if we click on any of this stuff, we can see more information about the census tract. And this is actually kind of some cool stuff. The median household income just for the census tract, and also by age, which is cool. One thing to know about the Living Atlas layers data is I think this is true. It's usually, I think it's always proprietary. Like Esri has taken census data and turned it into something mappable and cool looking, and they've really cleaned it up. So if you were to use it in your map, you have to spend kind of credits that you have. It's basically a limit to how much you can publicly share maps that have this Living Atlas layer data as part of your map. If you have an organizational account with a university or organization, you will get more credits if you pay more for your account. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you want to publicly share their Living Atlas data, you're using kind of your credits on your account for it. But that's another good data source. So anyway, the point being, there's lots of interesting data available that other people have created that you can add directly from this button here. And then the other thing is, you can always do a Google search for shapefile, download, and whatever the data is that you're interested in, and see what you can find online. The term shapefile is the term that's used to describe this GIS data. And so, as I said, it's a zipped folder containing usually about 5 to 7 files within it. So you can always find a shapefile of interest online, download that zipped folder, and upload it and see what you get. And then you can make modifications based on that. I've also, on the last page here of this instructions, there's a few other online data portals that I have provided a link for. And so the county surrounding DC mostly use same looking kind of format that DC uses for its open data. So it'll be, if you're familiar with the open data DC portal, the Montgomery County one, for instance, looks very similar. It's sort of organized the same way. It's also a GIS data server. There's open data for the US as a whole. The HIFL, whatever it is, Homeland Infrastructure Foundation level data is actually really great federal data, so that's a good source. And there's, on Wikipedia, there's a list of global GIS data sources. There's all sorts of stuff out there, but that's just kind of a beginning of other online data portals. And then I have some links here that have some interesting online mapping projects that I have found inspiring and doing some good work. The Mapping Police Violence one I think is particularly good because they, in addition to mapping police shootings of civilians, they also make all of their data publicly available so you can download their data and map it yourself. And that is a really cool thing to be able to do because you can see their data online, but if you can download it yourself, then you can change the symbology of the data. So for instance, you could, because they know the race of the victims, you could map the location of police killings in a certain year by race, symbolized by race, or symbolized by gender, or by whether the person was armed or not. And so there's a lot that you can do with that data. And there's more and more open data available on all sorts of things out there. And all you need is an address to be able to map it, which is exciting.
question.
Yeah.
So I have a couple data sets that are already in my own folder, and I was trying to figure out if there was a way to take one of those layers and put it onto the map that I just made. Is there a way to do that?
Are your data sets, are they like spreadsheets?
I should have said map. It's a map. Like I already put it and created it, so I just wanted to add that my own layer to this other map.
Yes. So you basically want to take a map you already made and add it into this map. Is that right? Okay. The best way to do it is probably just to take. The best way to do it is probably to make the layers. Well, okay. So actually, let me go back. So one thing. So let's say you have like, I'm gonna turn off these other layers I've got here. I've got my homeless shelters, locations, and I really, I symbolize them. I like the size and the shape and all that kind of stuff. But I've got this other map, and I want to take what I have here and add it to another map. Is that kind of what you're saying? Okay. So the best way to do that is I can actually save this layer. And so what I would do is save this layer here. And what I do is it would save the location of everything, but also how I've symbolized it. So if I save the layer, I'm just going to call it homeless shelters. I think it's going to require me to add a tag, create item. And then what you'll see is, okay, actually this is cool. What you would do is you would open up your other map that you wanted to add layer to, and then you would go to the add button and you would do search for layers, but this time you would keep it on my content, and what you should see is that layer. And so you can then add to that other map. That's probably the simplest way to. You couldn't actually like merge the two maps together, but you could take all the data from one and add it to the other one.
Perfect, thank you.
That makes sense. What I'm saying. Let me know if that doesn't work, because yeah. And also, I want to change my Zoom settings so you guys can share your screens with me. I'm not sure why that's not. Let me just try to do that. Okay, so yeah, so now anyone should be able to share your screen if you want to. And yeah, it's almost 7:30, so if we just want to keep going for, I mean, I'm happy just to stay till 8, and you guys can keep working on whatever, and let me know if you have any questions. You can always share your screen and kind of show me if you have questions about things. We can answer it that way, hopefully.
Do you get more shapes with the paid version?
Do you get more
Shapes that like symbols for the data?
No, but let me show you how. Yeah, you can actually change those in this version. Let me. Okay. Yeah. So if you, if I was to want to like change the shape, let's say, of my homeless shelters, I could go back to that change style button, and then you can click where it says types and size. You can click on options, and okay, options again. Well, actually, for one thing, you can change the color here if you wanted to. So where it says change symbol, you can change the fill. Let's say I didn't want it to be red, I want it to be pink or something. I could also change the shape here. And so this whole array of like squares and stars and stuff, or if I click this drop down menu, there's like a huge number of shapes to choose from, and kinds of symbols, and I like basic, you know, this kind of stuff. I think like simple is better in general, but you could use also like service. I think these are logos that actually the National Park Service uses, you know, so you could choose to use those if you wanted. You know, there's a whole, I don't even know what all this stuff is. Business, I wonder what that is.
I got to the shapes part, but I missed the drop down. But I was like, is it only dots and stars?
Yeah, right. Well, it's not, yeah, it's not obvious, yeah. You can see what it says use an image. You can also like upload your own, I guess it would have to be available online, but it could be an image, you know, it says a square image is best, but you could customize it that way if you wanted to. I haven't really ever played much with that. But yeah, if I wanted to turn it into squares, and then I could, oh, I can't make the symbol bigger or smaller here because I already got it sized based on the number of beds here. But yeah, that looks kind of junky, but but yeah, that's how you would change that.
And if so the same way that maps get updated automatically, the data that gets updated automatically, does that happen with layers too? So say I just took the layer from my other map and put it here, and I'm changing the layer in this map. How will that affect the other map?
If you save it as layer again, it should show up in your other map as the new. So you could make the change in your map, but then you'd have to go back into this save layer thing. And then, yes, if your other map is linked to it and it's the same name, then yeah, the change should be reflected there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have to run because my dogs are chasing my cat around. This has been so helpful. Thank you so much, Amanda. I really, really
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. Yeah, totally. And I will, just in case anyone wants to follow up with email, I'm just putting my email there in the chat. So yeah, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. It's often to explain something, obviously talking than an email. I'm very happy to try to answer any questions. So yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited for all the stuff you guys are going to do with this. It's cool.
Me too. Wow, I had no idea this was a resource that was out there. It's so cool. It's just...
Yay, awesome.
All right, I'm gonna go. Oh,
All right, take care.
okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Man, I'm sorry if you already covered this, but is there a way to merge two maps that you've already created on ArcGIS?
There's not really a way to merge it exactly, but what you can do is if you go to your let me share this. If you go into the one map where you would just kind of, I guess you would choose the map that had less data on it. And what you would do is you would take whatever those data layers where you wanted to put onto the other map, and you would basically save the data layer. So if you've got, if I save this homeless shelters, if I click save layer, then it's going to save this. I've already saved it once, so it doesn't kind of show you the whole thing, but it'll save it automatically to my content, and then it's available in my content within my account. And then if I went to my other map, I would click this add button, and I would click search for layers, and then it defaults to searching first within my content. It would show up any layers that I had saved. And so this is a way for you to save a layer in one map, save it to your content, and then close that map, open up the other one, your sort of final map where you want everything to be kind of all together, and then add that data layer from my content to that map. Does that make sense?
It's just a step of going to the data source and copying the data, the web address or the...
Exactly, yeah. And also the other thing is if you had, for instance, with this homeless shelters data, I got the link, but then I symbolized it. So like I made the shelters bigger depending on the number of beds, and I made them a different color depending on whether there was a clinic. And so all that information, the way I've symbolized it, should be saved when I save the data layer. And so I wouldn't lose that work.
Definitely takes some getting used to figuring out where everything is and remembering where everything is. I think that I'm constantly clicking on like 5 things to do a very simple task.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll get the muscle memory down.
Yeah, no, totally. That's exactly what it is. And that's why I think these like cheat sheets are really helpful, like these instructions and stuff.
Yeah.
I will say we did go over a lot of things that have written down on the cheat sheet, but there's also a lot of really good forums and stuff online. So there's ArcGIS help stuff online, and I usually, if I Google a phrase, I usually pretty quickly figure out how to do something that way.
Your instructions are great though. I've like very repeatedly used the sheet from 2 years ago, and like just verbatim because I totally forgot, and it's very similar to obviously what we went through today. So it's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
I'm really glad. That's great. My one fear is, it does change every once in a while. There'll be things about the software that change, so I gotta keep that stuff updated.
another question. I saw that you can copy a layer and put it a second version of the layer within the same map. It's useful. So for example, I want to have two data sets, one that shows all the shelters and one that just shows the shelters with the medical clinics. And that way you could change the color of those ones with the medical clinics and just have it be like those few dots. Is that why you would do that?
Yeah, so something along those lines. Yeah. Right, because if you had two different layers that were the same layer, two copies of the layer, you could symbolize those two layers differently. So yeah, that could be one way. That could be one reason. Go look at this. Right. Yeah, I'm not sure why else you would do that. I mean, I guess that you could have two versions of the same layer in the same map would be, if you want to just leave one as it was as you originally imported it, and then just kind of really mess around with the other one, just to kind of experiment with some things. I don't know. That might be another reason, but yeah, I think probably you could just symbolize them differently. You could also like filter them differently. So like you could have, let's say for whatever reason, let's say you wanted to show just maybe just
I'm gonna get me a win out of this bitch. I don't care what happens. I'm finna win this bitch, yeah. They might as well forget it. Come on, Dig. Clayton Dig, whatever the fuck. Down, team, get it. First win of the day, baby, after 3 losses. They don't take for one. I don't like Buffalo, though. I thought they had a black quarterback. I thought Tavares was up there, somebody. Yeah. Man, I've been recording for an hour and 31 minutes. Man, y'all done seen me lose 3 times. I won this one by the half my chin. Yeah. Damn. Dying the sun. Phone died, man. That's how I leave my Zoom meeting, man. I just let the phone die. I wasn't even checking. I knew it didn't have full power, but it died. So that wrapped up the meeting. That's how I make my exit. I don't tell nobody buy nothing. Oh, what happened? Your phone died. My phone died. Now I can go home. I got to go to the dentist in the morning. And finally, after a billion years, I've been to dinner like 3 times since I've been up here. I've been up here since 2014. Ain't that a bad? Yeah, boy, it's hard out here on Skid Row. You wouldn't even see me. As you can tell. Yeah. All right. Now the only thing is these niggas can't score. I'm going to 3 deep, man. 3 deep. Everybody got a body, and I'm back in the back. Yeah, he can get it. Come on. Boom. They got him. See, when I throw the ball, I start clicking buttons. I don't care. I just want to be in on the play. You understand me? Jump. Die. Oh, got him. Hang on. Timeout. I'm going to give him a timeout because he ain't had none. Otherwise, the game will be over with. I'm going to get, see, it ain't even big about me beating the computer. You know what I'm saying? I just be out here just trying shit, you know. I just want to beat when you sit on the stick. I got to know what I'm doing. Jump, kick the ball. What if you got to run about her with? I called him what it was. You dirty skank. Come on, we rushing. You know, I like playing that in the trenches. Come on, big boy. Come on. Get up. Get him. Got him. Sack put it in the game, baby. Yeah. Now, who I'm going to come back with? I done lost with the Titans. I done lost with the Saints. And these are my teams, man. I ain't got nobody left but the Texans. I got 3 teams. I always play Madden about 3 teams. Primary team is the Saints. I don't like to lose with them, so I don't come out there like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get out. I go out and get banged up with Tennessee. And then I'm thinking about the Miami Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars, man, because they've been all right these past couple of years, but I ain't got on yet. I ain't talking because when I go into the meeting, man, and we have guests and people be talking and be other people meeting, and I'm just supposed to be attending and stuff, I just listen, man. I don't ask no questions. They want me to go all on this website and look up the stuff about the stuff we on. I ain't got time for that. I can do that on my own time if I need to. Yeah. Community advocate, man. I might advocate for the homeless, man. Yeah, man. That's what he booked me for, man. For the last 4 years on my mind. Not that I'm too far from it. You know me. I'm check to check. Already. You don't play with the Texans. I ain't lost with them today. And who we gonna play against? I'm gonna play against the Jaguars, man. I think I might run with the Jaguars. Either Dolphins. I can't remember. I gotta think about it. Which one? Cause one of them was busting last year. They were all right. Oh, yeah, I kind of want to play with Gurley, though, man. Gurley is a nice running back. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to see how he square up against my Texans. And then they're going to determine whether I pick up LA, too. And they all right. They 7-8. Look, I'm going to get out of here, man, because I don't never record. And I ain't like Joe Budden, man. I don't record no 2-3 hour programming, man. I don't do like. I told Brian we need to do about 15 minutes because that's how long the attention span is. And then on the right conversation, we do an hour. Like when we were doing the hole in the wall, we were doing an hour. We don't even do the hole in the wall no more. Hole in the wall, them fell out. It did. It DOA. Right. That's what that means. Play clock remains. Accelerated clock. See, I don't like that accelerated clock, man. That's take away from the game. Oh, you see how I went up, man? Damn it. Let me think, guys. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let Tiny Hill go. The only reason I started rocking with them was because they kick returner. First time I played with him, he ran the ball back. I said, damn, who's the bad guy? Why the bad guy 82? I don't know who on the bad side. Yeah, I'm watching some football, man. Today is the first day of football too, man. I'm finna get to the house. You already know. Let me sign out this thing. This gonna be the last game y'all catch, man. I don't know if I'm gonna play this one all the way out. Let me bring it back down. 4 minutes. It's 8 o'clock. Oh, okay, Mo. Let's go. Julio! You know what I can do now? I can go get me a cup, man. I got me a little something to pour up. Hold on, time out. Julio! Oh, shit. Ow. Why all these lights on, man? I don't do all these lights, man. Call these a Uber. My phone started. I might have to sleep down this bit. You already know. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. What is this on the floor, man? Man, I got tomato on the floor and I'm a nasty hoe, so I'm gonna eat this bit. Remember? Oh, that was a piece of bacon. No, I ain't gonna eat a piece of bacon. I don't even eat bacon like that no more. I need to cut out all this meat, man. You know what I'm saying? I nigga don't want to DOA. Like, I ain't never been the one, you know what I'm saying? I always been out here having to get it, man. I ain't never had no stable situation where I can just focus on my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Every day I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get it in. Ain't nobody helping me. You understand me? Whoa, did you hear it? Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Let me hear it. Y'all saw that brown stuff, man. I don't be playing, man. I'm drinking brown. And I'm brown for brown all my life, man. You hear me? Listen, nobody come here to stay. That's what I tell myself all the time. Nobody come here to stay hard. Do what you got to do and get up through there. Nobody come here to stay. Cheers. Hold on. Do I want the bill now? Nah, I'll say the bill for later. Want it? Yeah, will. Bam, you know what I need now? I'm finna turn on my fucking chair. I need to play some music. I got to go, man. I'm finna miss the football game. It's going on 8 o'clock, man. Come on. Kick this bitch out. Let go. I haven't seen him play this shit all day. But Dennis in the morning, about it might look good, but you know what I mean? I've been in these streets, man. You know what? Last time I've been official, I've been hurt since 08, man. Ain't that something? That says something for me to still be alive. Ever since 08 now. It's 20. That's 12 years, man. I done faced 20 years in prison, everything. And I'm still out there. Whoa! Yeah, I'm still out there. You know what I mean? They can't stop G, man. I got up through there. I came up here. I'm trying to tell my cousin on the phone. Yeah, I mean, he think I'm shooting his head. You know why? He ain't part of my world. I'm like, nah, you niggas really drink my blood. I know that shit sound crazy, but people really do that. Oh, that nigga bad. That tackle his ass. Niggas really do that, man. Just because it ain't a part of your culture. Because you think it's outside the realm of reality in your culture. Don't mean it's outside the realm of reality in somebody else's. I always know what people believe in, man. They got these books out here, man. Once you find yourself in Jesus, you know what I'm saying? You need to find everybody else to find. Cause they done found some crazy stuff. I ain't lying, man. You know what I'm saying? My mom was a librarian, so I read, man. Yeah, I do. I was in a conversation with Dear Harvey, still ain't called me. I don't understand how these people gonna be political, man. Like in order to be political, you got to actually be political. You know what I mean? You got to be pulling up. You got to be calling it. Oh, get that! Woo, got him! Truck stick, got him! Truck stick, got him! I wish I knew how to hot step. Oh, woo! Yeah, y'all saw that truck stick. That was me, baby. We need to see a replay of it. I'm glad I'm still recording. Y'all might not be fucking off, man. I have to warm up playing the game, man. I don't just jump out here 100. You know what I'm saying? I have to warm up. All the time. I win the game all the way to 4 then lose. Yeah, I will. Bam. But we starting off good though. See, the main thing is I realize I be playing like a video game, and you're supposed to play it like football. When you play it like football, it act like football. I be trying to cheat, you know what I'm saying? Not cheat, but you know what I'm saying? Bend the rules. Like, hey, I don't care if 12 men on it. I'm gonna throw this bullet. Ain't but 11 men on the field. 12 men including the coach. Oh man, that stuff like some cocaine. I don't know, man. I don't know. It used to be, man. I used to be like, man, as long as I got me some yak, man, I ain't really got to smoke. The older I got, man, the more that boom, got to the smoke. See, he didn't truck sticking in. I ain't got my truck sticking down, man. I got the truck sticking down. Let me tell you on this thing, because this thing gonna cut off too. Yeah, probably in low. I ain't gonna lose on both ends now. I lost my meeting. I ain't gonna lose. I ain't gonna lose this fabulous recording. Y'all gonna see me win one. I'm gonna win probably on 3. Win 2 on the day. I really didn't lose 3. Because 1 on was already old when I started. It was 4 quarter, like 30 seconds left. Come on, nigga, throw the ball, nigga. Bam! Knock it out of his hand. You see how my boy step up even though I ain't there? Step up for me, man. Yeah, man. I'm rocking with the Texans, man. That's my team, man. I hate that they traded what his name? Oh boy. Dang. He can't remember. You know, the end. Defensive end. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Woo, man. Yeah, I got to go. Come on, man. Hike the ball, man. Bam! See, that's all I really want to do, man. I want to get my truck sticking down. If I get my truck sticking down, man, I'm going to have me some fun, man. I'm going to have me some fun, man. I like to see when they drop that Taylor, man. Drop that Taylor back better than real talk. Every real conversation. Oh, he coming right, huh? Woo! Woo! Hit him again. Oh! Hit him again. Oh! Who is this, man? Who is it? I don't know who he is. I said, you run again, see what happened to you. I'm going to break your fucking neck. See, that's one thing, too. I ain't never really learned how to tackle. You know what I'm saying? That's a tackle button only. Look, there you go again. Boom. Got it. Got him. I told you. Oh, did you see that? Did you see that? They lying. I picked that tape up, man. Oh, no. They lying. They don't want me to just dog their ass. I'm finna dog their ass. This man ain't gonna run no more. Keep on running you want to. There you go. Damn. Keep on running you want to. Let me get over there and get to him. I'm a truck stick his ass and welcome to the NFL. Yeah, I'm cussing today, man. I'm on this. I be trying to retain. Keep my French proper. But look, you know what? I'm gonna delete this stuff anyway, man. Nobody gonna see this, man. If they do, then they know what they can do for me. You understand me? I'm 41 years old, man. I thought I was gonna be dead around it too. That real talk, man. I was believing the shit they was telling me, man. Oh, I knew that was a delay. Yep, he snapped it. It was a high snap, though. I don't know who he was snapping ball to. Let me see. Come on, this is 4-6, huh? This is 4-6. We can put some pressure on their ass. You can feel this pressure. We want this Taylor, man. Give me this Taylor, man. Stop bullshit. I bet you don't run no more. I bet you don't run. Oh! Get in, man. Why you put back? Oh! Throw that in. They might well go in and stole now, man. Oh, I'm gonna break that nigga neck. What is his name? I did this fucker. I did his ass. He gonna get his neck broke. I'm gonna fuck his neck up. There you go. There it is again. There it is again. Come on. Come right out. Woo! Big boy. Large pizza. That's what we used to call pizza back in 807. You used to call big boy large pizza, boy. When that large pizza come out through that, you already know. That's what they eat, large pizza, man. Lime and them. All right, Deshaun. Let's get this bitch out of this hole, man. Let's go. Gas. Ah, man. I remember when they had Aaron Foster, man. That one I liked them, man. That one I really was down with the Texans, man. And they had Johnson on the wing. They had a squad, but they couldn't get no more. I can't remember who the quarterback was. Come on, here we go. Height Evans. Inside. Woo! See, the point is, I don't really be studying these niggas' route. You see what I'm saying? Because on that route, that nigga did a little zigzag, a little hook. And then we had to carry around straight. That bitch was in my mind. Get out of my way. You see how I pick it up? Yeah, first down. All right. All right. Good sucker. Let's put some wind up on this table, man. We're going to put some wind up on this table. We're going to sling this hoe. She's going to get slung all the way down the field. And let them go deal with it. See, I got that red line. Let's see what the red line do. That's big. Woo! Okay. Long as nobody catch it. I'm fine. Long as nobody catch it. Long as nobody catch it. Come on, Deshaun. You can't let the ball hang up there like that now. Why are you stepping back, nigga? Get to the yardstick. What are you doing? That's third down around this bitch. I already know. 3rd and 4. We need these. They might well forget that. We need these. I want some slants in them, man. Slants by the easy route me to run, man. That's what I need. I need some slants in there. I don't see none. Okay. So we're going to get YD. Come on. Hike the ball. Big boy, big boy, big boy. Woo, he broke it up. Woo. See, I do shit like that, boy. Hey, I don't care. If it's something I throw it right in the middle of the crowd. And no, I can't control the man. No, I can't control it. I ain't no good at it, man. I'm too old for this, man. I move slow, man. Ooh, that nigga jumped out in front of me, man. When it falls down, we'll punt this hoe, man. We ain't got to keep this bit. No, we don't. We're going to win this game. I'm punting everything, man. I ain't coming to lose. I'm going to win 2 back-to-back. Come on, Deshaun. Deshaun, I'm going to go get this. Block for me. Whore! What are you doing? Did he get it? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. First down, baby. He got it. He got it. He got it. What was that nigga doing? See that? We can take a time out. We can take him into the half. We might as well take him. I hate when they take time into the half. Why are you taking the time out into the half? It's going to evaporate. I ain't even going to take no bill, man. We cut off for 2 hours, man. Woo! 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 Did you see that? They be trying to set me up for the overdope, man. They don't be wanting me to win, man. That was going to be a hell of a fire catch if you had caught that. If you had caught that tape, get off, jump. What kind of gun that is? I want a gun that got somebody going toward the zone. Why would I want a gun that's gonna throw the ball shot with 28 seconds? Yeah, we need a TD out there, man. Woo! Got him! Got him! Right there. Come on. How about that? How about that? How about that? How about I told y'all, man, I have to warm up, man. I'm like an old school Chevy, man. You just don't jump in me and go, man. You gotta let me run for idle about 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And I'll be ready to go. He dropped that tape in there. He was out of bind, though. They gonna call that back. They gonna call that back. Cat. Ha! They gonna call that back. 1 foot. He didn't get the other foot down. No, they gonna call that back. If they don't, then they some suckers. See, that's what I don't like about the game either, guy. He was clear. I guess they don't allow you to push out on this game. Maybe that's okay. Maybe they say he pushed him out. He can't do that. Maybe. I don't know. It look like you got to me. Bam. Okay, we up. 14. Oh. See, boy, I put up the numbers on you, man. Y'all seen me go 14-0 before and lose. I bet it won't happen many times. I'm focusing. Last time I was, I had a meeting going on, stuff going on, man. I wasn't focusing. I'm focusing. Now, let me hit this thing with some more yak, man, because this thing ain't percolating like I wanted to. Like, when I put the yak in, man, I like to taste that stuff in the back of my neck. You hear me? Oh, that back down there had the bar, and then I don't be sick around this bitch. Yeah, I don't drink like that no more. My organs can't handle it, man. You understand me? There you go. There you go. Ooh, screen. Damn! I went and hawked his ass down. Who you thought he was running with? Oh, that blitz coming. Baby. You better be ready for it. I'm going to dive in there on you. You been running the ball too. Nigga got about 50 yards. Let go. Bam! That was me again. Okay. He trying to throw that tape. Now he want 3 son. I don't know what the hell he want. But he ain't shit. Fuck around me. He ain't gonna get it. He ain't gonna get it. Ain't none of this is going. Hey, double ball. This is sound good. I didn't play by his name, man. Ain't it crazy? His name sound good. I ride with. Oh, out in the flat. Boom, hit this big ass. I don't know, man. That nigga should have been closer than that. I don't know what that nigga was doing. We need to fire his ass. Fire him. He wants to score for the half because he don't want that 20. He don't want that spunker dude. Oh, they kicking the field goal. Oh, damn. They can have them chunky 3. I'm going to get them 3 back. When I get the ball to half, I'm going to get them 3. I tell you what. Let it come up 3rd and long. I'm going to put in the middle of the field and bump me people. I'm wrong for that. Kicking a field goal on me right for the hair. Sorry. Awesome. We bring these out. Let go. Woo. See, I ain't just had no pretty juke yet either, man. I want to juke somebody, and I already got a truck stick. and recovered 2 from them. But I ain't had no good juke yet. Juke. Y'all know what I'm talking about with the juke stick. What the juke? I be on the gas. Wham! All right. Who is the running back? I don't know who the running back is. Where we at? It's 2nd and 5. So, yeah, you know, Deshaun can come back out here and do what that sucker did, man. Woo! I do every time. I thought I was in the cover, man. If it's 1-on-1, man, that safety gonna have to get there. You hear me? That safety gonna have to get there if it's 1-on-1 cover. I'm finna run the ball. Now, this is the stupidest play in the world, but we making up so much ground running that I got the audacity to try it. 1st down, get it to him. Come on. I told you Johnson who? I don't know who Johnson is. I ain't gonna do some homework. I'm gonna get home though. I want to watch some real football. Man, it's been so long. I don't know how I'm gonna let nobody out there. But I'm gonna watch it. Look at them boy. Look at them. Large pizza. Large pizza. Whoa, large pizza picked up that block. Bam. That look about like my hat. They got the same damn branding going. Okay. Here we go. And watch me fuck this up and throw an interception. It's about time we throw an interception. I ain't even gonna lie. I already know. Woo! 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 I hate it when he leading. I don't know why he led that man. Deshaun finna get these. I gotta change the play. Told you. Deshaun gonna get done. They don't like that. I know they don't like that. There's no way in the world they can like that. Deshaun Butt that be down the middle. Picked up 10 yards, 8 yards. Let me sip some. I might use the yak. Whole time. Here we go. See, I got more. I didn't do more, man. I tried to wrap the ball up, man. I don't want him to drop this tape out here, man. It's 31, man. Now watch me how I do it this time. Watch me this time. Third down. So didn't I tell you? Oh, about time that field while they playing. They might as well get ready for it. I'm running this down. I ain't with the goal line yet. When I really be running, I get on goal line. I ain't even scored the goal line mode yet. Oh man, he shared that blocking. He's on top of that, man. I don't like that shit at all. Hold on. That nigga tired. He's breathing hard. Get him out the game, coach. Get him out the game, coach. Here we go. Reverse. Revert. I know this nigga ain't blitz. Woo! Why would he do that? Now he made a hellified play. And then he gonna turn around and drop that bit. Man, fire that nigga, man. Get this nigga out of here, man. I want to empty back, man. I don't even need you back there, man. You tired, man. Get the hell out the way if you tired. Man, Deshaun to get these. I'm watching the end. If don't nobody come. Ooh. Oh! 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 You see how I choke? I choke every game. It'd be a lull in play, and I choke every game. What is 4-22? Man, they don't get out of here, man. I'm up 14-3, man. They don't get out of here. I'm gonna dry the whole fucking field. That's what I'm finna do. They finna dry the whole fucking field. You hear me? Go ahead and that whole field. Put some air up on that tater. Yeah, wait for it. Catch it. Oh, it went out of the back of the end zone. I don't want to do that. Okay. Yeah, well, we're on 159, man. I'm finna cut out, man. We at 2 minutes. We at 2 hours now, man. I'm finna snap this out, man. Oh, right ass play, man. You might do that all the way down the field. That's for sure. You might do that all the way down the field. Man, why they tell me something? Man? They're asking me to tell me that. Man, don't fuck up the floor of the game like that, man. What's wrong with these people, man? I want to just take it back. I watch that man out in the flat. Oh, man, close out, man. Close out. Kindly. Don't just let the nigga catch the ball, watch him guide the ball in, and go knock the ball down. Who's paying you, man? That's on probation. Watch the man out in the flat. Oh, there you go. Let it wood. Bam. Oh, no. Who is he? Oh, no. I'm breaking his neck. I don't care if I lose. Now, one good time and welcome him to the NFL. Now, that's some bullshit. It really is, man. He ain't running like that, man. Who is this white boy, man, playing for the Bears running like that, man? I don't know him. I ain't seen him. I don't watch football, man. I ain't watched football in 2 years, though, man. I fell out of football with Cap. I couldn't tell you who he was, to be honest. When Cap quit, I quit. Get him. Man, if y'all go hit this white boy, see what I'm talking about? Oh, I can't find my QB spot. Oh, I can't stand this white boy. Who is this white boy, man? White boy ain't hustling like that, man. That's a lot of telling. No fucking way. No way you hustling like that. Somebody hit somebody, man. Lay some wood out here, man. It's 4-2, man. I don't care. Let them score then. Let them score. Let them figure it out. Let them figure it out. That white boy not hustling like y'all ain't telling me nothing. They need to put something in the paycheck. Hey, pay that nigga extra, man. This nigga got about 60 yards on the day, man. He got more than 60. He probably got 100. There's no white boy in the world got 100 yards running the ball on me on the day. I ain't believing that. I don't believe it. This nigga's not running like that. He's not that type of a beast. I just don't believe it. He got about 100 yards on the day. Ain't that a horror dog? But see, the thing is, I can't find the one play I want. The one play I want. He finna feel this shit now, though. I don't know how he feel about it. Bam! The one play I want. Bam! I told you. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Now I'm on fire. Bam! We can't bring the pain. Come on, change the play. Oh, shit. You see that? You see that? Now, I knew I wanted to change the play. We'll let me change the play. This nigga hiked the ball on down. Down, he's like, hike. He hiked the ball on down. He didn't even say sit. This nigga hiked the ball, man. What kind of shit is this? I don't care. He got to score again. Got him. Come on, let go. See how stupid that was. I don't know if I could have got some money for that or not, man. I was trying to high step do something. Wow! Give me that Taylor. See, I blew that. That's then. I'm gonna make him burn everyone in time out. Why did he gonna burn everyone in time out? He gonna have to burn. We gonna win this. Damn! Come on, John. Hey! Put that stuff on my air. Oh, y'all gonna get that field goal too. Y'all thought I was checking the job of y'all, man. I'm finna get this field goal, man. I'm finna get this field goal right here. I'm gonna move chain. I'm finna. Whew. Come on, Deshaun. Come on, Deshaun. Now look, in 9-14, right? So that means if I fumble the interception, what gonna happen? He gonna go down and get 7 points, and he gonna have 16, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be like that chump been being. You understand me? But that ain't gonna happen. You know why? I'm gonna kick that field goal. Now I kick that field goal. What they gonna give me? I told you I was jiving y'all, man. When I tell y'all I'm gonna do something for you, I'm gonna do it. Field goal, fake shuffle now. We want a 25-yard field goal. Ooh. I can't say I don't like this new thing though. Cause you got to hold this thing like you got to buy a hold that bitch right there. Bam! Down the pike. Now I got 17, so he need 10 points. He ain't got but 9. Well, now we need 8 points. He can get 8 too. I ain't got a blimp. He can get 8 points. This nigga stay in the game. He made if he go, he got 3 seconds. We just keep him straight. We ain't put no hang down on it. Stoop. Put some ab on it. He gonna dine. Down the bitch. Bam! I told you I was gonna win 2 games for you today. See, when I'm just playing the computer, I just be trying to find out. Like, I still don't feel comfortable with it, just with all the buttons and stuff, you know what I'm saying? I really should use the up and down. I used to play with the up and down. I don't even know that control the man no more. I'm finna try it now, though. You know what? He got to put the tail in the eye, too. And see the man 3D, I don't like that. I like prevent. Yeah. Okay. Spread. Okay. That don't control. That don't control. I found that out. The arrow thing, the up like Nintendo, it don't control, man. Okay. I ain't hot no more. I'm gonna get hot again though. Come on, big boy. Lord peace, man. Stop spinning on the man. Lay that wood. Well, I'm down for you diving, man. What kind of mess is that? I'm gonna have to go, man. Cause the game coming on, man. See how I tap like if it make you tap your face like that, why would you drink it? That's the first question. Woo, cause it tastes so good. It's that to make it taste good. Oh, this JJ Watt. Okay, that's who that was. The big Watt. The big Waternator flag. Woo, picked it out. I rough Watt laid that lumber. Rubbing the bath. Defense. JJ, what are you doing? Get him out of there. Get him out of there. I want to go watch the game. I know I can't watch the game, man. I ain't even gonna try, man. I'm gonna go home, man. How about that? That's 2 games on the day, baby. I appreciate your participation. Look, this is Harden. This is Studio 24/8. This is Radio 24/8. This is also Rebuilding the Community, which is my non-profit. And what you were listening to earlier was some work we got planned that we'll propose a proposal or plan or whatnot. It's called Vacant the Virus. We're trying to house all the homeless people in DC. Roughly about 10,000 people. We got about 10,000 vacancies. These are surplus properties, like the contractors came in and they built up property and said, okay, we're gonna get all these tax breaks and then we're gonna provide so many low-income housing for the community. And then all this pandemic stuff hit, and now they got all these upper end apartments that were built part of that, and it's vacant and they holding out and they ain't putting nobody in the house, and then we got this virus out here. So we came up with something called Vacant Virus. You know what I'm saying? We were on the Zoom today with UDC, which is the college in the District of Columbia, the local college, community college, and they've been working with us, and we've been and they talk about this new website or whatever it is put together to show you where the homeless shelters are and keep track of the homeless population and stuff like that. And so that's what they were going through, and they wanted me to, start, because I ain't got all my information is my mouthpiece. You know what I mean? I know what I've been through, and I know how to advocate. And so all the technical stuff, I let everybody else handle. I just do my part when it's time to do my part. If I need to move some shape, I'm the muscle kind of. So all the intellectual stuff and all this stuff, I let them handle that part. And I know that like, nigga, what kind of muscle is you? But yeah, believe that. Yeah, I go up in the courtroom, I do my thing, man. I'm gonna keep saying that to my last days. I hope y'all go Google me, man. Not Google me, but y'all gotta go down to the courthouse and pull up some cases. Ow! Hey, that's in DC and in Georgia, man. Yeah, man, because I bang like that in the paint. I appreciate y'all for tuning in because ain't nobody tuning in. Oh, this was fun today, man, because I know the sound is gonna be all right. Because I got all the mics muted. I'm finally in tune with what I have to get up and get going. Y'all saw me losing, y'all saw me win. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Out. In broadcast.